So we're on the draw against Jund, right? No, I'm on the play. I'm on the play against Jund. This is a snap keep. So, yeah, it only temporarily becomes stairs. Sorry for the convenience. Yeah, but you gotta be careful against like Jund decks, like Inquisition Thoughtseize. You don't really want to mulligan very much against them because no matter what, they're gonna just like take whatever's the worst for them, right? So you basically almost never want to go to 5 against them. You just basically cap it at 6. And if your deck, and enemy's deck is super slow, right? They're Jund deck. They can't, like, the Jund deck's best possible draw can't even win before turn 5, right? It can't even win before turn 6 a lot of the time with any resistance. So we've got time. So, like, this hand, if I draw 2 lands, is a turn 4 win, right? So let's go. Going on the draw? Hell no, dude. They have Ren in 6 and I have Arbor Elf. 0% we go on the draw. Alright, so enemy Inquisition us this turn. I don't know what they take. I don't know what's in their hand. Yeah, Recap, I appreciate it. Let's not talk about it for now, but I appreciate the positive energy. All right, so they took our ranger captain of EOS, which is weird. Yeah, that Inquisition was pretty bad. I actually think I might have actually said that in the video. In the video, I'm like, wait, why did they like? I actually think the ranger captain was our worst card in their hand, and they just took it. So that was weird. But my mind is telling me that the fact that they didn't take Spellskite makes me believe that they may have Kolaghan's Command in their hands. Right. I thought Spellskite would be the choice, right? Right. So I think they have Kolaghan's Command in hand. That's the information that I've gotten so far. I think the Spellskite is the obvious turn 2 play. I can go Spellskite into Spike Feeder, and that's really bad for them, right? That's super bad for them. If I go Spellskite into Spike Feeder, and I think the only card that justifies that line is they have Kolaghan's Command in their hand, because they can destroy target artifact, deal 2 to Spike Feeder, right? As they're out to that. So because of that, and that's actually why I don't play a 2-drop. It's why I don't play a 2-drop. Because I'm thinking, okay, they have Kolaghan's Command in their hand. The obvious play is turn 2 Spellskite, turn 3 Spike Feeder, right? That's the obvious line. But I'm like, okay, I think they have Kolaghan's Command. So let's turn to Eldamri's Call for Heliod. Play Heliod. Now I can play Spike Feeder, and now they have to walk on glass, right? Because they have to have 10 removal spells, or 2 removal spells, because I don't have to do anything. See, that's the cool part about this combo. I can't redirect Kolaghan's to Spellskite if it's already targeted, right? I'm pretty sure you can't. It's already a target. It's the same with Electrolyze. I'm pretty sure it's the same as Electrolyze. It's already a target of the spell you can't target. I'm pretty sure you can't. No, so Spellskite, I'm pretty sure that's not the way it works, but you can? All right. If it's not, it's fine. It's different than Electrolyze. I thought it was the same as Electrolyze. If that's the case, my apologies. Because I played Spellskite versus Electrolyze a long time ago, and I thought they interacted the same way. Okay. There's 2 targets in the wording? Okay, and it doesn't say another on it? Okay, got it. I still think this line is better anyways, so it's fine. It's fine. I still think this line is better anyways. Just Eladamri's call for Heliod, get the good part in play. And now I can just play Spike Feeder, and now the enemy has to leave open mana the rest of the game. And in order to break it up, they have to play 2 removal spells. And the next turn I can play Spellskite or a second Spike Feeder. And if I play a second Spike Feeder, they're ice cold. Ice cold. But even killing 1 doesn't stop it. They have to have, I think, 4 removal spells. So, yeah. So they thought C2 Spike Feeders. They have to take one. So I can go Spike Feeder and Spike Feeder. And now enemy is like, well, crap. Now I know. I think they have Kolaghan's Command in their hands. I think they do. Right? I think they have Kolaghan's Command in their hands. So I'm like, okay, well. If that's the removal, I'll just sit here. Right? And I go in and attack here, because why not? I could have played Spellsky for the win here. I could. Tyrune, actually, I couldn't. You'll find out why. We can just do that next turn, right? We can just play Conclave Mentor and Spellsky next turn. So now I go for it, right? Now I can go for it if I wanted to. I'm not going to. I still have no reason to do anything. I'm not going. Next turn, what I can do is I can attack with Conclave Mentor and give it lifelink. And then then they need like 5 spells or something, right? So, all right. So they Fatal Push the Spellskite. I'm like, okay, I gain 2 in response. If I attack with Mentor, they can just take it, right? That's not a way to win. I'm like, okay, gain 2 life in response. They're like, Fatal Push it again. Which, by the way, was the mistake our opponent made. Right? This is the point where our opponent made a mistake. So the way to block up the Spike Feeder Heliod interaction is you let me gain the life, you let Heliod trigger, you let Heliod trigger targeting the Spike Feeder, and then you do something about it. Right? So this lost them the game right here. This not knowing this interaction where you have to wait for Heliod to resolve. Or to trigger, rather. So they end up having Fatal Push, Bolt. But the problem is that the enemy did not let me target Spike Feeder with the Heliod trigger. So now I have 2 different life gain triggers on the stack with 2 Conclave Mentors. So now I have a pair of 5/5s. So now what I can do is I can play Walking Ballista and give it lifelink. And go for the win. Yeah, go for the win. Well, I mean, a lot of things would have won for us, right? Any life gain spell would have been pretty awesome. In addition to that, like, a lot of things were outs there. A lot of things were outs. Yeah, like half my deck just went on the spot. Absolutely. So Against Ren and 6 decks, against Ren and 6 decks on the draw, Arbor Elf out, right? Arbor Elves and Ranger Captain Evios are the ones that need to go because you're cutting out your 1-drops. You board into Giant Killers and Elves an alternate 1-drop. I can win with what I have because I can double block a Tarmogoyf, give it lifelink, and then when the Conclave Mentor dies, I gain 5, and then I also just like put 4 more counters. I make a 9/9, right? So yeah, like they might have actually just lost to the board, to be clear. So like even if I drew a land, I just attack with both, give both of them lifelink. One dies, I gain a bunch. Yeah. I know the Tarmogoyf's a 5/6, but I can make one a 9/9. So like I might have actually just won on the board. Actually, it would have been an 11/11. So like I may have actually just beat them with what I had. But we did draw the Ballista, so. I think he had I think my enemy had I think they had Ashiok. I think they did. 1 blue Ashiok. They might have had it. I'm actually not sure. And if they did, they might not have brought it in because I only have 2 Eladamri Skulls and Ranger Captain, which I'm boarding out anyways. Yeah, so I think they had Ashiok. And if they bring it in, then Infinite Life does not win the game. He can kill me pretty easily with that. I haven't submitted yet. I'm thinking that I have too many. I don't want the Arbor Elves. I'm looking at 64 cards. I need to cut some cards. Like, okay, I probably don't need the Ballista, the second Ballista. I don't think you actually need Path to Exiles because the John deck is actually super. They can use extra lands they have really, really well, right? They have Raging Ravine, they have Raging Ravine, and they have like Nurturing Peatland and Ren and 6 to like. So if they have lands in play, they can just keep on picking one up and casting 2 spells a turn. So I don't think, and plus they don't really play creatures that I actually want to kill. It's not like they're Death Shadow or Scourge, right? The Scourge version you do bring in pads because they can just kill you, right? They can just like kill you turn 3 or turn 4 if they have a Team or Battle Rage. But this is not my opponent's deck. Veil of Summers are also really awkward because if they Inquisition me turn 1, enemy mulligan to 5, by the way. Right? Enemy mulligan to 6. Yeah, they put enemy to 6. Right, because they have Inquisition on the stack, right? Okay. Veil of Summer is really awkward against these decks because if they see it, they just like don't actually have to ever walk into it. It's really weird. Like, see right here. Like, I had Veil of Summer, and even if I had it in my hand, I wasn't gonna cast it, right? So I wasn't gonna not play a card. I thought about attacking, but I'm like, okay, Red and 6 on Ballista. Let's not walk into that, right? 1 damage isn't worth it. Or Thoughtseizes. I'm like, all right. It'll push Giver of Runes. I hate Giver of Runes. I think the card is trash. I think it's entirely possible that the deck should not have any in the deck and just replace it with a Giant Killer. Like, I'm not sure Giver of Runes ever did anything in any matchup. Like, and it is so awesome that I actually spent a ton of time testing this deck, right? And various versions of this deck. And I went from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, right? And I was very close to going to 0. Very close to going 0 on Giver of Runes. I ended up keeping it in because if you have Conclave Mentor and you go Ranger Captain and Heliod, if you have 4 mana on turn 4, you need a 5th white pip to attack with Heliod. So the options for a white 1-drop, are Giant Killer and Giver of Runes. And I think there are just Giant Killer is too much of a blank. So now I see Emmy is mana screwed. I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. I mean, it's good, but it sucks. I'm like, okay. Okay, so I don't put a counter. I don't put a counter on my Walking Ballista. And the reason why is I was planning on cracking Horizon Canopy. Right? So like if they play a removal spell, I was actually or even if they don't, like if they play like a like Land Liliana, or they play like Land Season Pyromancer, I'm cracking the Canopy, right? Cracking the Canopy to try to draw Collected Company or Heliod. That's what I want to be doing. Putting a count on the Ballista doesn't actually do anything, right? But now I see the enemy is still mana screwed. I'm like, okay, they didn't play a spell. Why don't I just put a clock on them and try to beat them this way? Okay, so they have a bolt. Okay, well, it's fine. Upstairs. All right, so now I have to determine, do I crack the Windswept Teeth? Do I crack the Windswept Teeth now to get a land into my deck, to filter a land into my deck? Or do I crack the Canopy now, because I could draw another Canopy, right? And this decision keeps on coming up a lot when you play the deck. I end up making the decision that I was going to just take a land out of my deck, because I think if I draw a Canopy, I'm fine anyways. Oh, I actually cracked it beforehand. Okay. Yeah, I cracked it beforehand because I was trying to get into the Canopy. That's exactly what I was doing. Okay. I end up drawing Ooze, taking their Kroxa. That's sweet. So I end up targeting a creature in my graveyard. I end up talking Walking Ballista in my graveyard because it was the only artifact, and so their Tarmogoyf would be smaller. Right? I mean, they have Kroxa in their deck, so like their graveyard sort of matters. But I think making the Tarmogoyf like -1/-1 for the rest of the match, good idea. Because I don't have a second Ballista. I boarded out one Ballista. So I'm keeping the land in my hand in case of the Liliana Plus. They know I have Skyclave Apparition in my hands. They've seen it twice with Thoughtseize Inquisition. And by the way, this game is the reason why I made the discard in the finals. This game. Because I learned my freaking lesson from this game. They Inquisition or Thoughtseize me. They see the Skyclave Apparition. They just don't play anything until, and I just rot with the Skyclave Apparition in my hand. That's why in the finals, when they Kroxa me when I have 3 lands in play, and I have Skyclave Apparition, I have 2 lands in play, and they Kroxa me when I have 2 lands, Collected Company, Skyclave Apparition in my hand that they know about. I just get rid of it. So this stupid Skyclave Apparition has rotted in my hand for like 7 turns that they knew about, and they just waited until they drew another discard spell to get rid of it before they played any relevance cards, right? Obviously they were mana screwed too, but so that's 7 on board. So it's like, okay, Apparition, get the hell out of here. Oh, never mind. Go back in. Aria Champion, wait, maybe I want you instead. Wait a minute. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. They have Run in 6. Maybe I just don't want these Arbor Elves at all. Mortifier. Spellskite's better, that's why I played it. It doesn't die to Ren in 6. It also beats Infect in auras. So we end up going triple white. Dudette, Dudette. Life gain plus. Mortifier having 1 health is a non-starter, and Ren and 6 is too widely played of a card. No, they don't board in. They don't board in LD. All our champions were amazing for me. So I've got the combo, right? I've got Spike Feeder. I mean, I've got Ballista. I've got Heliod, right? I'm missing 2 mana. I'm like, oh crap. And my understanding of the way the rules work is I can't see the Cascade from Bloodbraid Elf and have an opportunity to Ranger Captains if they can't play Liliana. That's not the way it works. Like, if the Cascade resolves, then the Liliana's on the stack. There's like no... If I wanted to do that, I would have to Ranger Captain in response to Bloodbraid Elf's Cascade trigger. Which is a reasonable line that you could do, but like obviously they could just hit a creature. It's like a coin flip. Maybe a little bit weight of a coin flip. So enemy ends up making both players discard a card when they know I have Ballista in my hands. I'm like, okay, see you later, Ballista. I can win with what I've got. I mean, the Heliod's even on, so. And I actually talked about this earlier when I was testing that if Heliod is your 5th devotion, you do gain a life of Ariarch Champion, which is different than if you played back in the original Theros, there was a card called Imposing Sovereign, which was a 1 and a white 2/1 that said your opponent's creatures come into play tapped. There was a ruling made back then that if you play a god and your opponent has Imposing Sovereign, which was a card that people played, and the god was the 5th devotion, it did not come into play tapped. Right? Because it didn't come into play as a creature, it came into play like as an enchantment and then became a creature. There's some sort of, there's like a replacement effect, right? So Imposing Sovereign is a replacement effect, and Ariarch Champion is like a trigger, and it has different timings, which means that Heliod, if it is your 5th devotion, it does actually gain the life. Oh, did they update with how Blood Moons and Shocks worked? Okay. I know back when Theros was there, like, that interaction actually did come up. With Imposing Sovereign versus Thassa, the 2 and a blue Thassa, 5/5. Whether they changed the rules, or there's an updated rules, or what have you. But now we're in a bad spot. Now we are in a very bad spot. We're empty-handed. Let's go. Goif, man. Don't like to see that. A lot of the cards in my opponent's hand are just lands from Ren and 6. So, I mean, it looks like we're really bad far behind, but we're really not. I mean, all we have to do is draw a Spike Feeder, right? Or like a Collected Company, and we're back in it. Back in it to win it. Or we can just not do that. Fortunately, we've gained a lot of life. We're at 31. Spike Feeder. Let's go. Let's go. So the enemy learned their lesson. They learned their lesson from the first game, where they responded to Spike Feeder trigger. In this game, they learned their lesson, and they responded to Heliod targeting the Spike Feeder. So weirdly enough, Heliod says target enchantment. Was there a reason to do it on my own? No, I wanted Liliana to lose to loyalty. I didn't want to deal with the ultimate. So we drew Collective Company. I decide I might as well do it main phase because enemy is just going to plus Liliana anyways. So I might as well just do it now when they have one fewer card in their hand, right? So we reveal Ranger Captain of Eos and Spike Feeder and Skyclave Apparition. Interesting choices for sure. There's a lot of merit to getting any of these cards. A lot of merit to getting any of these cards. I think Spike Feeder is obvious as one of them. So it's either Spike Feeder Apparition or Spike Feeder as Ranger Captain of Eos, right? We don't have a Ballista in our deck, to be clear. We board it down to 1 and it's already dead. We could Ranger Captain plus Spike Feeder, yes. But we are at 33 cards versus our opponent's 40, and there's plenty of time on the clock, right? So this like trying to win my life gain doesn't actually work because all they have to do is plus Liliana up to 7, ultimate it, and then do it again, right? And I can't actually construct a hand. Like I can't construct a hand of 7 cards and try to go off, right? Because I don't have a Ballista. And they can just keep on ulting Liliana, right? So Infinite Life does not actually win me this game. You're not going for Spike Feeder Liliana because I'm like, I can't actually win with Liliana in play. I have to get rid of it. So, Eladamri's Call. Okay. Even in real life, if I could go for infinite life, even in real life, I would still not do it because I could still lose to Liliana's ultimate, right? Like it would not be hard for me to lose Liliana's ultimate there. It was actually 39 to 36 was the 4 cards from the company didn't go on the bottom yet. But like I have the greater deck, I have the smaller deck here. So I can't actually deck them. So what happens here is I give my Skyclave Apparition lifelink and attack with it to trade it off. The reason for that is when the lifelink trigger happens, I target the Spike Feeder. They only have 1 card in hand. So once Spike Feeder gets more than 2 health, you can't respond to me activating it by killing it because I can just do it again, right? So that was the purpose. That's like one of the secrets to this deck, and to force out another removal spell from your opponent or make them have another removal spell, is just giving one of your creatures lifelink and attacking, because that makes both Ballista and Spike Feeder big enough so that they can trigger multiple times. You can activate them multiple times. Now, if you're not familiar with this combo, if you have Spike Feeder, Conclave Mentor, and Heliod, this is indefinite health, as high as you want to click. In addition to that, your creatures are as arbitrarily large as you want them to be. Because for every counter I remove in Spike Feeder, I get 2 counters and 2 life. Okay, it was at this point It was at this point I noticed, you know how I talked about earlier, where my deck was smaller than theirs, so I couldn't try to go as big, I couldn't gain on the life. Now we're at the spot where they play 2 Citizen Pyromancers, now their deck is smaller than mine. Now life does win me the game. So I've got the win right now. I've got the win right now. All I have to do is just do the clicks. Now enemy can gain a lot of has a lot of chump blockers with 2 Season Pyromancers. I have 3 indefinitely large creatures. Right? I have 3 indefinitely large creatures. So they have to triple chump block every single turn. So I set up the loop, and like I just set up my thing. Okay. Target my spell scape. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. We have to deck them. This is where we are. When they go to remove my creatures, I'm like, okay, this is what we have to do. This was lazy. I should have gone for it last turn. But that was me being super lazy. But now I just do it. And I get tons of value from doing this, because not only does Heliod grant lifelink, when the Conclave Mentor dies, I will just gain health. I will gain health equal to its toughness. Right? So as you can see, it's like a little bit less than 2 seconds for me to do each one of these clicks. It's like 1.5 seconds, and I get triple value. I get triple value because the life I'm gaining also, like I get to double the life that I'm getting because of the Conclave Mentor, and when the Conclave Mentor dies, I will also gain life equal to its health. Right? So I have 31 cards, and my opponent's 30, and they have to draw a card, right? We just all enemy combo for as long as we need to. Enemy ended up conceding. I ended up comboing for 5 minutes. But yeah. Well, when I was doing tests before the tournament, I ended up discovering that 5 minutes was about all I needed to get it done. So, because now at that point, I gained so much life that even if our opponent had like every creature in play, and they'd attack me for the rest of the game, like they couldn't actually do enough damage, right? Yeah, so imagine if they put every creature in their deck into play. What is that? 4 Blood Red Elves and like 4 Tarmogoyfs that are like 5 or 6 power, right? So that's like 12 plus 20, plus maybe like a Croxa, so that's 9. That's like 29, right? Deckwad, I asked about using Hado Hockey, and they said that was not legal. Obviously, if I could use Hado Hockey, I would have done it. I know how to set up a macro. They asked me, I asked if I could, and they said no. But anyways, I was saying that they have like 20 power in play, plus 4 blight, 32, and then they have a Croxa in play, which is like 41, right? So if they have 41 power in play, they can attack like maybe 20 times, right? And so that's 800 life. So if I get up to 800 life, I can just F6, and then they're just dead, right? And that's not even including the fact that I still had creatures. I can still attack. Like they had to like sack a creature every turn, right? So